2019 is definitely in full swing, Barrett, and tenants, landowners, farm families are probably re-examining maybe their leasing arrangements for their cropland, their livestock enterprises, to see maybe if there's any adjustments that need to be made. So we'd like to share with you the results from our 2018 Post-Rock Extension Lease Survey. First of all, Barrett and I would certainly like to thank all the respondents that took part in our survey, because without input from producers, tenants, landowners, these would not be possible. Alright, so we're going to start with the cash lease category. So it tended to have some ups and downs in the rental rates in the last couple years, kind of depending on the county. But for the entire Post-Rock district, the average cash rent value tended to decrease slightly, which is kind of going along with the land values. So the average in 16, I'm going to give you kind of previous years so you can kind of compare that with kind of what's been going on. In 16, it was $65 per acre was the cash rental rate, whereas in 17 and 18, it was pretty much the same, but it was lower at $61 to $62 per acre. Now, that's the dry land. We did the last couple years add some irrigation input into it because we still have some irrigation in Jewell County and Mitchell County and some in Smith County as well. But we have some fairly limited data on that. Only a couple counties had enough responses in order to go on and report as far as irrigation. So with that, it was around $104 to $117 per acre range for the irrigation, but we're going to continue to include the irrigation because it seems like that we have more questions on that as well. So as far as the trend for the cash rent or crop share, because in the leasing survey we ask your opinion whether you think there's going to be more cash rent or more crop share or maybe no change. And it was pretty significantly higher response that you didn't think there would really be a change between cash rent or a crop share. As far as when the payment is made, if you do cash rent, about a little over half, or 58% of the respondents indicated a split payment. And what we mean by that is generally two different payments, probably generally after wheat harvest and then again after fall harvest. So what about different tillage systems? We asked that as well because that's pretty significant on the tillage operations that you guys do out there. And very, very dominantly, probably over 80% indicated no-till systems in some part of their operation.
We're going to talk a little bit about the pasture side of things here today, and you know, as we look at it, there was a wide range and some counties with not so wide of a range. The widest gap we saw was from $18 an acre to $40 an acre, and that was in Jewell County, with Jewell County's $40 an acre reported also being the highest number that we saw for rental rates on pasture ground this year in the Post-Rock district. As we flip the coin and look at the lowest number, we did see a $10 report coming from Osborne County. So again, a lot of variance in what we saw in regards to pasture and rental rate averages. The district-wide average this year for 2018 reports was just about $21 an acre, and that does vary again from the lowest average in one particular county was just under 18 bucks, and the highest average we saw was about $26. So as it boils down to it, not too much spread in what most folks are doing, but certainly have some outliers in there as well.
So now let's move to the crop share leasing arrangements aspect. So the most popular share is the traditional 1/3, 2/3 arrangement at about 90% of the respondents, where however the 40 to 60% share is also coming in, especially with alfalfa crops. So what are the different inputs that are shared? So most significant share is the fertilizer cost, with around 85% of the respondents saying that they do share that particular input. Some other inputs with about 50% indication is the herbicide and the insecticide costs that would go along with your cropping enterprise. Herbicide, the share goes hand in hand with the adoption of the no-till systems, which very dominant of 90% of respondents say they have some kind of no-till systems in their cropping operations.
crop residue stayed pretty standard in terms of the range that we saw in the 2018 survey. We saw reports anywhere from $5 to $15 an acre. I will note though that probably averages across the counties and throughout the district were trending downward, maybe just a hair, as we're accustomed to seeing $9, $10, $11 in some places. We leveled out just about $8 give or take this year for the district survey, so maybe going down a little bit. We did have the most responses through Jewell and Osborne and Smith counties. As you guys are familiar with, the amount of crop ground through this part of the state facilitates itself greatly for a lot of crop residue grazing, for a lot of cover crop opportunities, and we'd love to hear more about those moving forward through our lease survey and what you might be giving or getting as you rent out those acres. I will say some other arrangements that we saw were also pretty standard, around 50 cents per head per day, ranging from 30 cents to $1 per head per day. You know, these are very much a local report or a local aspect, and all too many times we get dialed in on one thing from the USDA or from K-State, and this provides just another avenue for you folks to visit with your landowners and or tenants and say, well, hey, this is what it's doing right here in north central Kansas or right here in a post-rock extension district. And so we encourage you to stop by any of our offices to find the county reports or visit our website, which is www.postrock.ksu.edu, and you can navigate through that and find the reports or the leasing surveys from all 5 counties, as well as the summary sheet, which does show averages for, as Sandra and I have talked about, the pasture ground, the crop residue, the cash rent on crop share and that sort of thing. So all that's in there in one pretty handy report for you guys.